Live from the SVI Media Broadcast Studios in Star Valley, Wyoming, this is the Red Zone with coverage of high school sports from across the Cowboy State. The Red Zone is provided by First Bank of Wyoming, your home for totally free checking. Find your local branch at gofirstbank.com. Here's your host of the Red Zone, Duke Dance on the SVI Sports Network.
Hello and welcome into the SVI Media Studios on the SVI Sports Network. This is the Red Zone. I am your red-headed host of the Red Zone, Duke Dance. Thank you so much for joining me as I take a look at Wyoming high school basketball across the Cowboy State from north to south, east to west, trying to cover the whole state as best as possible and going 1A up to 4A with girls basketball. And my guest today joining me from Natrona High School, senior for the Philly program and one of the top scorers this year in the state of Wyoming. That's Megan Hagar. She'll be on the show with me today to talk Philly basketball. Also going down to the 1A classification and the defending state champs and the unanimous number one in the Wild Preps Coaches and Media Poll. That's the Southeast Lady Cyclones and head coach of the Cyclones, Jennifer Shear, joining me on the Red Zone today. We'll talk some Cyclone basketball and see what Coach Shear thinks about this year's squad and do they have the potential to repeat again this year as state champs out of Southeast. All of that coming up as part of the Red Zone today, but first let's take a look back at the top games and highlights from last week's schedule. This week, we start on the boys' side with the big game in the 2A class. Top-ranked Pine Bluffs at then number 2 Bighorn in the Wild Preps Coaches and Media Poll. The visiting Hornets would build a 10-point halftime lead, which the Rams were never able to crack. Pine Bluffs would solidify their number 1 ranking with a 61-53 win on the road. In Cheyenne, the Riverton Wolverines raised some eyebrows with this game at second-ranked Cheyenne Central. Here's some back and forth as Central would hit a 3 early in the fourth, but on the very next possession, Riverton would quickly come down the court and answer with a corner triple of their own to stay within 2 points. 6 minutes left in the game, the Tribe get an offensive rebound, and look at this spin move down the post to extend the Indian lead back to 4. Late in the game, Riverton finds themselves up by 3 when another big triple drops to put the Wolverines up by 6. Central could not overcome the deficit, and Riverton hangs on to win 63-58. Next day, same gym, Central finds themselves in another battle against Wild Preps' top-ranked 3A team, the Douglas Bearcats. Indians tie the game with 20 seconds left to make it 40-40. Douglas on the final possession and time expiring gets the ball into the paint for the old-fashioned bounce off the defense and fade away flick shot to go up by 2. Central has enough time left for a half quarter, but it's wide right and the Indians drop 2 in a row. Staying with Douglas after knocking off the second-ranked 4A squad, why not go after the top-ranked 4A team with Cheyenne East? Bearcats lead by 2, but East would get the dribble drive to fall to make it a 1-point game. Douglas would then turn the ball over on the inbound, giving East a chance to win it at the buzzer. But the tough shot is missed. A real-life fracas ensues for the rebound. Officials let it play through as time expires, and Douglas holds on to beat both the number 2 and number 1 ranked teams in the 4A class on back-to-back days, cementing their spot as Wild Preps' top-ranked 3A team and one of the best statewide. Staying with East and Douglas, but this time on the girls' side, and a different outcome. Cheyenne East had won 47 consecutive games coming into this one. Another win would tie the all-time girls' win streak record in Wyoming, previously held by, yes, Douglas. The Thunderbirds were too much, though, for the Bearcats in this one, and they pick up the 61-36 win and tie Douglas's win streak record with 2 wins this week. East will tie the overall win streak record at 50. We conclude with a close game in Park County as Powell hosts Rocky Mountain. Panthers lead by 3 late in the game, but a steal on the inbound play leads to a bucket to pull Rocky Mountain to within 1. A Powell free throw makes it a 2-point game with under 20 to go. Rocky Mountain quickly down the floor to launch a game-winning 3, and it's in with about 12 seconds left. Rocky Mountain now leads by 1. After a series of timeouts, Powell has the chance at a buzzer beater, but the shot is missed off the rim, defensive rebound, and Rocky Mountain picks up the road win. To have your highlights featured on the Red Zone, email them to DukeD@SVINews.com or send them via the Red Zone social media channels on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You're watching The Red Zone on the SVI Sports Network.
Thinking commentating is not that tough.
Really?
Yeah, I think we can do it.
You think so?
Wow. That is a smooth finish.
I am speechless. As she moves in, stalking the dum-dums. Critical play for the
Organization.
Look at that skill.
Focus. Focus.
Finger dexterity
Focus.
on its finest display here.
Focus. They're the 50, the 40, the 30, 20, 10. They're going to go all the way.
It's a touchdown!
Yeah!
Duke and Dow got nothing on us!
Yeah!
Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, 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 I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna...
From the SVI Broadcast Studios in Star Valley, Wyoming, here's Duke Dance, your host of the Red Zone, presented by First Bank of Wyoming.
Welcome back into the SVI Media Studios on the SVI Sports Network. My name is Duke Dance, your host of the Red Zone, covering high school sports from across the entire state of Wyoming, and most specifically this time of year, basketball, as we head into our next guest interview segment. And going to Casper, Natrona High School, and one of the top scorers in the state of Wyoming in girls basketball right now is Megan Hagar. She plays for the Natrona Phillies and is on the Red Zone with us right now, a senior at Natrona High. Good morning, Megan. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me. Want to get into this season, Megan, and talk about the Phillies year so far and what you have up and coming. But first, let's go back to the end of last season. You guys get into the 4A state tournament. You get that win on day one of the tournament, but then drop a couple the next 2 days. What did you learn in that experience, you and this team, in the state tournament, that you think is helping you this year and helping you be better prepared for the tournament this time around?
Well, I think last year, just being close with the seniors and having their point of view, we just need, like, as a senior this year, we just know that we have to work for everything and we can't really take anything for granted. And the teams that make it at the end of the year, the teams that are going to work for it and put in the effort to get where they need to be.
Megan, how would you describe your role on the team this year? Now that you're a senior, what is different for you as in a leadership position wise this year as opposed to previous years?
I've definitely had to be a more vocal leader this year than in past years. I've just kind of been more like a role player and like just do my job, and that was more my role. But this year, like, I'm more of a captain and I have to be a vocal leader just as well. It's like a physical leader, and like my scoring and like just picking up my teammates has really like improved this year.
What was that transition like for you, going from where you were as a junior and to more of a vocal leadership role for you? What was that transition like?
Well, I've had to step into that role in like volleyball, so it wasn't like super new to me, like the concept of having to be that more like vocal, like everyone can come to you leader, but it's definitely much different in basketball because like you're not, like, you have to deal with like different people in that sport. So it's definitely been a big change from last year to this year, but I feel like I'm getting more used to it the more the season goes on.
Megan, what's the identity of the Philly basketball program that you guys are trying to establish and maybe even have established? When people think of Natrona basketball, what should they think of? What's your identity?
I think we're trying to become accustomed to being a defensive team, and like we get all of our momentum, and like we've come to find out that our offense works a lot better when we are getting defensive stops, and like we're able to shut down the other team, and it just leads to like our transition defense, which is one of our strong suits. So I just think being Nats and like being defensively disciplined has been our identity this year.
Megan, and of course as a team, you guys want to win that state championship, right? That's the goal of every team. What about personal goals for you? When the season started, did you have anything you wanted to accomplish this year on a personal level?
Kind of just like play how I know I can and try to just, if scoring isn't working, focus on the assists and kind of just being that team player and being that person that everyone feels comfortable being around, being the person that everyone wants to be on the floor with, and kind of just having that positive and like growth mindset.
Again, with Megan Hagar from Natrona Philly basketball, a senior and one of the top scorers in the state of Wyoming. Megan, I always like to ask my student athletes some fun, more lighthearted questions, just kind of get to know you. So let's start with this one. Tell us, what's your favorite pizza? Megan, do you have a favorite pizza?
I really do like Hawaiian pizza, but I just like it with pineapple on there. I don't like
No Canadian bacon, just the pineapple?
No.
See,
Yeah.
the pineapple is what's the controversy thing, and you're just
I
going
know.
right for it. I love that. Megan, what about your favorite movie? Do you have a favorite movie?
I think I might have to go with Tangled. It's always been a favorite since I was little, so.
Perfect. Megan, of course, you being a senior, you still have a few months left of basketball, and then you head into the springtime. But what about after high school? Do you have any plans set, or are you still working on those?
I'm still trying to work those out, but I've been looking into colleges more for volleyball, and I've been talking to a few. So I think that's definitely what I want to do once I'm done here at NC.
Megan, as you reflect over your time playing sports at Natrona High School, volleyball, basketball, whatever it may be, talk to the younger generation. What advice do you have to give to them now for those that are coming into Natrona and wanting to be one of the best players in the state of Wyoming, such as yourself? What kind of commitment does that take, and what advice do you have to the next generation of Philly athletes?
I just think you have to know the amount of work that gets put into it, and not only being physically tough, but also mentally tough, and just being like ready and able to put in that work and even extra work that you're not putting into just the team, but into yourself, and focusing on just all of your personal goals and not being so hard on yourself.
Megan, thank you for your time. Really appreciate you joining me today. Best of luck to you moving forward. That again is Megan Hagar and Natrona Philly basketball joining me on the Red Zone. It's all part of the SBI Sports Network, made possible by First Bank of Wyoming.
Inside us all beats the heart of an athlete, determined to succeed. Sometimes we fall short, and sometimes we just fall. Whether you're suffering from a sports injury, arthritis, or musculoskeletal trauma, the team of orthopedic surgeons at Mountain West Orthopedics and Sports Medicine are here to help you. We offer a full range of orthopedic and pain management care to keep you active and loving life. A service of Star Valley Health. For more information, visit starvalleyhealth.org.
You know, I've been thinking, commentating is not that tough.
Really?
Yeah, I think we can do it.
You think so?
Wow. That is a smooth finish.
I am speechless. As she moves in, stalking the dum-dums. Critical play for the
Organization.
Look at that skill.
Focus.
Finger dexterity
Focus.
on its finest display here.
Focus. They're the 50, the 40, the 30, 20, 10. They're going to go all the way.
It's a touchdown!
Yeah!
Duke and Dow got nothing on us!
Yeah!
Covering high school sports from around the Cowboy State, this is the Red Zone on the SBI Sports Network, presented by First Bank of Wyoming. Here's your host, Duke Dance.
Welcome back into the Red Zone here on the SBI Sports Network. I'm your host of the Red Zone, Duke Dance, and heading into our next guest interview for the show today. That is head coach of the Southeast Cyclones girls basketball team, the top-ranked Lady Cyclones. And joining me on the show today is Coach Jennifer Shear. Coach, good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you today, Duke?
I'm doing great. Really appreciate your time. Thank you for joining me today. This is the first time you and I have had the chance to meet, Coach, and talk about the Cyclone basketball program. So for me and the viewers out there, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us, how long have you been the coach for the Cyclones, and what brought you to Southeast High School girls basketball?
I've been lucky. I've been here a long time, longer than I'm willing to admit. I've been here. This is my 19th year at Southeast High School. Of course, I spent 11 years as a junior varsity assistant coach here. Under two really great head coach mentors of mine. And so this is my 8th year as the head coach here at Southeast. So,
Wow. So what do you credit your longevity to as a coach for the program?
Honestly, I'd have to credit my kids. Without the quality of kids that I'm blessed with, I don't think I would have stayed. I'm not a district employee, so the only thing I do here is coach. So I'm strictly here because of the kids, in honesty.
Coach, of course, last year you guys make it to the championship game and win the whole thing, and it had been a couple of years since the Cyclones had won it all. Since 2008, I believe, was the last state championship for Southeast. What was it about last year's team that made those girls special and unique that got them back to that title game and able to win the whole thing?
You know, several classes of kids that decided that they were going to put in the extra work in the off season, you know, just to get to another level. It seems like we're always close. We're always in the mix. You know, we're usually competitive year in and year out, but we were having a hard time taking that last step. I really thought to be competitive, you know, and have enough kids, have enough depth to compete at that kind of level that late in the season. And finally had a couple classes of kids who made a commitment to spend a little more time in the off season to get to a better level.
Coach Scheer, you guys come into this season as the unanimous #1 ranked team in the state of Wyoming in 1A girls basketball, and I think that just goes to show the respect that the state has for your program and where it's at right now. But coming off a state title and then to be the unanimous #1 heading into the season, that means you have some girls returning and you have a good group of players back this year. So walk us through who you have this year, who's returning, and who's on your squad this time around.
I'm blessed. I still have one of that group of kids. One of them classes of kids are back. They're all seniors this year. That's a group of 4 kids. They have played a tremendous amount of basketball together. They've been together since they were in elementary school. So they understand one another really well. You know, I have a couple guards in the mix and several posts there too. So I have a nice balance between that class of seniors. My point guard is Keely Carson. One of my guards outside is Sydney Anderson. Then I have 2 posts down low and Brenna Herring and Shelby Eckwall. And so I have a nice balance in that group of kids. Great leadership. And they're the hardest working kids on the team. And that always means something from a leadership standpoint. And then I also have a great group of juniors right behind them that have really stepped up in the last 12 to 18 months. And they were a big part of last year's group too. And so having that great group of junior kids right behind them now is really helping just add to my overall depth on the team.
Coach, you mentioned that senior leadership and how important it is. Talk to us about the success of building a program over time, though, and what that leadership means, not just for this year's group of girls and the juniors and the sophomores, but those coming up in the next 4 or 5 years to be able to watch these seniors play. And talk to us about the current seniors and their role in building that foundation of success and expectations for the program.
It's wonderful, Duke. I mean, you can't replace that. We talk about it all the time. Our phrase is little eyes. And I tell my kids all the time, there's always little eyes watching you, wanting to be just like you. They want to do what you're doing. I mean, you have to understand that you're under constant supervision, if nothing else. I mean, everybody should be watching you. And I am lucky. Going down further, I have a good group of sophomores, and I have a big freshman class with me this year. And there again, you know, when we can get 6 girls to show up in a class and play for us, that's a lot of kids from our school, and that's a big class of kids. So when you've got 6 of them to work with, and they have that kind of leadership and those kind of mentors above them as juniors and seniors, it makes my job easy. You know, the kids become the leaders, they become the workhorses, and it makes coaching second nature. And the kids almost become the coaches at that point in time. So it makes my job unbelievably easy, actually, at times.
Coach Jennifer Scheer from Southeast Girls Basketball joining us on the Red Zone today. Coach, you mentioned earlier that you've been doing this for a number of years, and so you're well aware of the full length of the season, right? The marathon over the course of the year, and trying to be ready to peak right at the right time in early March when that state championship rolls around. So when you look at where your team is right now, where you're trying to get, how do you compare right now at this moment to where you were last year, to the team that went on to win state? Do you feel like you're on track to where you want to be?
Yes and no. I would have answered a resounding yes, but one of our seniors, Brenna Herring, was in a car accident over the Christmas vacation. She's been injured. Not quite sure when we're going to get her back just yet. So that has obviously changed us instantly the moment, you know, she was unavailable for us to continue to play. But, you know, without her here this last weekend, we were down in Cheyenne playing in what they call the Taco John's tournament. And my kids played the best defense I've seen us play in probably 2 years. And we came within 8 of Douglas, which is a big 3A school, best 3A girls basketball team maybe in the state of Wyoming. And when you hold a team like that to 42 points in a game, and we're underhanded, and one of my best players is sitting on the bench injured, I couldn't have been prouder of my crew after this weekend. So it's hard for me to compare because I just don't know where we're at just yet. Losing Brenna has changed a lot of things for us on both ends of the floor. As their coach, I'm still feeling my way through what's about to change for us. Every weekend's probably going to be a little bit different. We're going to have to match up differently depending on our opponents from here on out, just with the loss of her. So I think, yes, we are in a good spot at this point in time compared to last year, but we're going to have to reevaluate. And I think situationally every night, depending on our opponents, may be different and quite a bit different for us for every night from here on out.
Coach, when you look around the 1A classification in the state of Wyoming in girls basketball, what other teams do you see as some of the top teams in the state that are going to be competitive with you guys? Of course, Upton has been so good in the recent years. Cokeville's one that's always seems to be at the top of their game come March time. So who do you see as some of the top teams in Wyoming that could pressure you guys and maybe be in that final game of the year with you?
You definitely nailed several of them. The Upton Lady Bobcats are going to be really good. They lost 2 girls, but I think they'll probably replace them, and they're building. They've all got another years of experience underneath of them. Cokeville is one of those teams that they're always at their best in late February, March. I don't care what anybody says. That team's tradition matters to that little school, and they're going to find the way to be the best they can be at that end of the year. So they're always scary. Another team I would probably throw at you is the Burlington Huskies. There's a team that was very young last year. I was very impressed with them at times last year. I think their youth got a hold of them a little bit late in the last year, but they're all a year older now and that much more experience. So I'm going to tell you that's a team that everybody needs to keep an eye on. And probably one of the sleepers I feel is maybe Saratoga. I know that's a young team as well. Coach Herring down there, she's got a lot of young players, and I think she's trying to figure out where all the pieces go together there. But I'm going to tell you that with a few more weeks under their belt, that's probably a very talented team that could scare a lot of people and probably get a lot of people beat if you're not paying attention.
That's Coach Jennifer Scheer joining me on the Red Zone, head coach of Southeast Girls Basketball and the Cyclones. Again, the WyoPreps coaches and media poll top team in the state. Coach, appreciate your time. Just one more question before we end things here on the Red Zone. When people ask you about Cyclone basketball, how do you describe your identity? Who are you trying to be? Who are you trying to become as you continue to build this Cyclone program?
The best way I could describe it for you is I call us a very blue-collar, working class group of people. We're going to come at you and we're going to play defense. We're never going to be the tallest, most athletic team on the floor, but we will play hard and we will play defense. And we're going to be in every game we can be in for as long as we can be. And, if just working hard and playing really good, strong man-to-man defense will keep us in the game, we'll be right there with you. And I think the defense that we play is probably our identity across the state of Wyoming.
That's Coach Jennifer Scheer, head coach of the Southeast Girls Basketball team on the SBI Sports Network. It's all part of the Red Zone.
A lot of people ask me why I moved to Kemmerer. I actually was living with my wife in North Salt Lake, Utah, where we raised our children. And I saw this as a great opportunity in my career to help with economic development. It's a very affordable place to live. Other things that I like about being here, I really like the opportunity to do outdoor living. Those are some of the things that I like about Kemmerer.
It's time to update your home's flooring, and Battleson Brothers Carpet One is your local source. Right now at Battleson Brothers, find in-stock LVP as low as $2.99 per square foot. Get a bedroom installed with fresh new carpet for just $4.49. That includes the carpet, pad, and labor for just $4.49. Battleson Brothers Flooring also offers 12-month no-interest financing. In Afton and Thane, that's Battleson Brothers Carpet One Floor and Home.
Price, quality, service, Battleson Brothers Flooring.
Live from the SVI Media Broadcast Studios in Star Valley, Wyoming, this is the Red Zone with coverage of high school sports from across the Cowboy States. The Red Zone is provided by First Bank of Wyoming, your home for totally free checking. Find your local branch at gofirstbank.com. Here's your host of the Red Zone, Duke Dance on the SVI Sports Network.
I'm Duke Dance, your redheaded host of the Red Zone. Thank you for joining me here on the SVI Sports Network. That's going to do it for this week's show. I'll catch up with you next week. And again, keep those cell phones out and send me your highlights. If you have some big plays you would like featured on the Red Zone, you can send those to me via email at duked@svinews.com. You can also send them through the Red Zone social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. It's all right there. Send me your highlights. I'd love to see them and get them on the Red Zone for next week's show. Best of luck to all of our student athletes in action again this weekend. And thank you for joining me here on the SVI Sports Network for the Red Zone, presented by First Bank of Wyoming.